This school is a special place for me, so I am really grateful to School District Administrator Dr. John Thompson, Principal Jane Heffron, and the members of the Whitefish Bay School Board for hosting us here today. I have spent many hours in Whitefish Bay schools as a parent, as a volunteer, and as a teacher. Both of my daughters went to Cumberland. I served as PTO president, and my time here inspired me to go back to school and to become a teacher myself. When I decided to run for office, I was working as a substitute teacher here at Cumberland. At the time, I told Principal Heffron that after the election, I would be sure to come back to visit. Little did I know that I would be bringing the governor of Wisconsin with me. Before we begin our program, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce some of my colleagues who have joined us today. Member of the Joint Finance Committee, Senator LaTanya Johnson, Senator John Erpenbach, Representative Don Ruink, and Representative Sandy Pope. Hope I didn't miss anyone. And now it is my extreme pleasure to introduce to you the Governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers.
Thank you, Dad. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Very important day. It's great to be here at Cumberland Elementary School, and thanks for joining us, all of you, especially the students. Thank you. 2 years ago, I was proud to sign a better version of the 2019-21 budget. We made historic investments and down payments, making health care more affordable and accessible, fixing and building new infrastructure, and doing what's best for our kids by working to fully fund our public schools. Because of those historic investments, we were able to make the last made in the last biennial budget. Our state was well positioned to enter the new biennium. Unfortunately, since signing that budget, Wisconsin experienced unrelenting challenges as we face COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, which is obviously one of the worst public health crises in the century. And we have worked hard around the clock to keep Wisconsinites healthy and safe and put our state and our economy in the best fiscal position to rebound and recover. We invested billions in our state's response to the pandemic, providing hundreds of millions of dollars in support to small businesses and industries across our state, and that work still continues today. We worked hard making Wisconsin one of the best states in the country for getting available shots in arms to ensure that folks could get back to business and our economy could recover. Our unemployment rate is among the lowest in the country and has nearly very close to what it was pre-pandemic. These efforts, both our state's response to the public health crisis and our efforts to stabilize our economy, has been critical in the economic recovery that our state has seen. Today, we anticipate having a $2.39 billion general fund surplus as we start the new fiscal year, which will be the largest opening balance in state's history. Because we made those critical decisions to get our state in the best position to recover, we were able to propose bold solutions to address the urgent crisis that we faced. I proposed in my 2021 budget, or 21-23 budget, our Badger Bounce Back agenda, providing a blueprint to not only get our economy back on track to normal, but to ensure that we could bounce back better than before this pandemic hit. There's much to be said about areas where this budget fails to deliver on the support Wisconsinites need after facing a severe economic crisis like we had this last year. I said when I delivered my budget address last February that there would be those who would give us, frankly, saying that there is a false choice, making that false choice between making health care more accessible and affordable and saving hard-earned tax dollars, between fully funding our schools and cutting taxes at the same time, supporting farmers and rural communities and small businesses and protecting our natural resources and investing in new clean jobs, between spending our means while still supporting Wisconsinites who need to help recovering. In many ways, this budget presents a false choice between the priorities the people of the state care about and deserve. But after 8 long years of politicians making decisions for all the wrong reasons, I ran to be governor of this state, and promised I would always put people before politics, that I would always try to do the right thing, and that I would work to find common ground, and that I would make decisions based on what's best for kids and our state. That's a promise I intend to keep as long as I'm governor of the great state of Wisconsin. It's also among the reasons why vetoing this budget in its entirety was not an option. So this morning, I exercised my broad constitutional authority to improve the budget that was sent to me, and I am signing Assembly Bill 68, making it Wisconsin Act 58. During the last biennium, I was proud to sign the last budget that, together with 2019 Assembly Bill Act 10, provided an estimated $577 million in individual income tax relief through income tax reductions targeting lower and middle class earners. Then the first bill I signed in this biennium, 2021 Wisconsin Act 1, I provided another $480 million in tax relief for Wisconsin businesses and families affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So even before the 2021-23 budget, I signed into law $2 billion in cumulative tax relief for Wisconsin families and businesses. I also made another promise when I ran for governor. I promised that I would cut taxes for middle-class families by 10%. Today, I'm keeping my word. This morning, I'm signing one of the largest tax cuts in Wisconsin state history. The bipartisan budget, along with prior reductions, not only delivers on my promise to cut taxes for middle-class families by 10%, I'm cutting middle-class income taxes by 15%. This budget alone provides $2 billion in individual income tax relief over the biennium and approximately $1 billion annually going forward. And I'm newly providing tax relief to more than 1.6 million Wisconsin taxpayers at a time when our economy and working families across our state need it the most. When combined with prior reductions, 2.4 million filers will be receiving tax relief in Wisconsin. So with that, I would like to introduce April Calvert to talk about what this tax cut will mean to her and her family and helping folks across our state continuing to bounce back from this pandemic. April?
Thank you. Good morning. As a small business owner, this tax relief is important for the families as it put additional money in their pockets, which I hope in turn have them spend it at a local small business such as myself, and also save for the future. This is really big for myself as an individual and the tax relief, and I will be able to retire soon because of this. So thank you, Governor, for that. And I would like to introduce Secretary Burka.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm so proud to be here with Governor Evers and my fellow cabinet members and so many key legislators and all of you here at the Cumberland School. As the governor indicated, one of his key goals when he ran for governor was to provide tax relief for hardworking citizens of this state. And today I can safely say that the governor campaigned on a 10% tax cut for middle-class citizens. He not only achieved it, he crushed it. So congratulations, Governor Evers. Secondly, I want to say that virtually all Wisconsin taxpayers have achieved this goal. We're delivering the largest tax cut in Wisconsin history, as the governor indicated, $2 billion. And we did not arrive here by accident. Make no mistake about it. It's a direct result of sound fiscal management, of careful decision-making at the beginning and throughout the pandemic. Wisconsin, I want to repeat, has been a leader in vaccine administration. Part of the reason I say that is if our economists from DOR were here, they would say people must be healthy for the economy to be healthy. So very, very important, and I want to emphasize that the governor stresses repeatedly that need for vaccines that we've worked so hard on. In terms of the tax rate structure, beginning in 2021, we'll reduce the tax rate for the third bracket from 6.27% to 5.30%. Now, this builds upon previous efforts that the governor had helped to achieve during the first 2 years of his biennium, where by passing the marketplace bill that we worked very hard on, he reduced the first and the second rate. He split it by 50% in order to reduce those rates significantly as well. So collectively, it's been a tremendous success for the middle class and those struggling to get there. Secondly, I want to say between the tax rates of 9 and 10, for 99% of all Wisconsin taxpayers, they'll see that 10% cut. The governor certainly believes in these times, especially with the difficulty of the pandemic, he wanted to provide tax relief for all Wisconsin residents. But he wanted the emphasis to be, as he campaigned on the middle class and those struggling to get there. The average household, which we and Department of Workforce Development identify as $61,000, they'll see a tax break of $488 in this tax year and about $975 over the next 2 years. For the average household of two with two dependents, they'll see a tax break of $683, or over the 2 years, $1,365. So this is significant tax relief. It's very important. And I think it bears repeating something also very vitally important in this bill, and that's that the governor also achieved the 2/3 funding of schools. So make no mistake about it, that's important for education. It's also important for property taxpayers, and that's why I think we're all so delighted to be here amongst so many of the other accomplishments that we're going to hear about. So thank you very much and great to be with you. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much, Secretary Barca. And now, folks, when I said investing in our schools and cutting taxes are not mutually exclusive, I meant it. And that's why we have these young people here today. I'm proud to be the education governor, and I believe, as I've always said, what's best for our kids is best for our state. So this budget began and will end where it always does for me, with education. I'm proud that after providing several opportunities to meet this obligation during my time as governor, Republicans in the legislature have decided to join me in restoring our state's commitment to 2/3 funding for our schools, and we will finally be hitting that mark in the next biennium for the first time in 2 decades. This budget also provides roughly $685 million in additional net general and categorical school aids. I'm proud that during my time as governor, we have worked to reverse the course of 8 years of cuts and underfunding to education at every level by investing in special education, school mental health, sparsity aid, and transportation costs. I've said before, doing what's best for our kids is why vetoing this budget was frankly out of question for me. At the end of the day, vetoing this budget in its entirety would have meant not only jeopardizing those investments that I just mentioned, but also likely causing our kids and schools to lose $2.3 billion in federal funds when they need it the most. Moreover, leaving $2.3 billion up to chance that Republicans, who took nearly 300 days to pass a COVID-19 response bill during a global pandemic, go figure, would come in and pass a meaningful budget in a timely fashion that was a risk that I frankly wasn't willing to take. This budget isn't good enough for our kids, and Republicans could and should have done more. And while they may be fine forcing Wisconsinites across the state to go to referenda just to support their public schools, I am not. Our schools and our students have faced unprecedented challenges during COVID-19 pandemic, from distance learning to reducing class sizes to spending money that had been budgeted for pencils, instead buying PPE. I've been working every day to find a way to get the yes for our kids in our schools because that's what they deserve. Elected officials will do more than a bare minimum. 2 years ago, when I signed my first biennial budget, I used my broad veto authority to provide nearly $100 million more per pupil aid. Of course, Republicans and our allies have worked since that time to prevent me from being able to use the same authority this time around. Well, other people playing politics hasn't stopped me from doing what's best for our kids before, and it's not going to stop me today. That's why today I'm announcing I'm investing more than $100 million in federal funds to our kids and our public schools. Schools across the state and districts across the state will be able to use these funds to support kids in the classroom, hire educators and staff, provide additional educational or mental health supports, buy art supplies or computers, keep the lights on, whatever it takes to provide a great education. Here's the bottom line. This investment is a critical step to ensure our kids, our state, and our economy can continue to recover. But I also want to be clear today, we must do everything we can to support our kids and our schools if we want that economic recovery to continue. So with that, I'm proud to introduce and hand the mic over to our new Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jill Underley, to talk about what this means for our kids and for our schools. Jill?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. And thank you, Governor Evers, for doing what's best for kids. When you think about opportunities, parents want opportunities for their kids. They want what's best for their kids. And that's the framework from which I operate all the time. And so thank you, Governor Evers, for doing the same. Where would we not be for a great education? When you think about elementary through middle and high school and tech college and the UW system, we need opportunities if we're going to thrive as a state. And so what this budget will do is provide those opportunities. We look at the gaps. We frequently talk about the gaps between our wealthiest and our poorest communities, between our students of color, our students with disabilities, and we have to address that. If we're going to be successful, our kids have to be successful. If we want a future filled with opportunities, we have to provide those opportunities now for our kids. All of this is just the beginning. When you look at early childhood education, we have to invest in kids on the front end if we want to be successful and provide those opportunities on the back end. When we look at the teachers leaving the profession in droves, where will that leave us if we don't have the best and brightest in front of our kids every day? So thank you, Governor Evers, for providing these opportunities for our kids and doing what's best for them.
Thank you, Superintendent Underley. And now, we were able to make some progress in several key areas here, from broadband expansion to continuing our work to fix the damn roads to supporting our service members. The biggest problems with the budget are not the things that need to be removed by a stroke of a pen, but rather the work the legislature has left undone, from working towards reforming our justice system to protecting the right of every person to vote to investing in equity, among other areas. My actions today will improve this document and leave resources available to ensure that the unfinished business can be addressed, including meaningfully investing in our kids and our schools. This budget leaves much unfinished business, and there is always more work to do. In the coming weeks and months, I will continue to engage the legislature to use the state resources that are yet available to further invest in these priorities, and I hope the legislature will join me in this important work so that we can continue our state's economic recovery. So with that, I will now take final action on our 2021-23 biennial budget, making it 2021 Wisconsin Act 58. This one now works. Any of your kids use write a 7 like that? You do? Good. Okay, 58. There we go, folks. In part, vetoed, signed, and delivered. Hand out some pens here for you. We'll get to the adults later. Whoa, a whole bunch of them. There is more. Hi. What's your name? Nathan. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. All the students taking care of you? All right. Be glad to answer any questions. I signed the budget. Simple as that. I could have vetoed that. I made a promise to the taxpayers of the state that we would reduce middle class taxes by 10%, and we did 15%. So it is a bipartisan effort. That's right. There is an increase in several of the categorical aids which go beyond the revenue limits, whether it's issues around mental health, whether it's issues around transportation and so on. But the $100 million is outside of the revenue caps also. Pardon me? That's the federal money. Yes, that will be outside the revenue limits also. You know, that's ridiculous. I mean, I see that they talk about all the federal funds that's taking care of pandemic stuff is now there. They show this. I saw a graph that was just absolutely ridiculous with all the work that we've done over the last 2 years, and then this year, their alleged input is all this federal money that they're taking credit for. So whatever they say, it's ridiculous. They could have done the right thing. They still can do the right thing. There is money left in the state coffers that can be used for schools and other issues. So I'm very hopeful that they'll spend some time thinking through this instead of just going home and spending the rest of the summer enjoying themselves. There's work to be done. There's work to be done for these kids. There's work to be done around criminal justice reform, a whole number of areas. The money is still there. The money is still there. No. No. That is from the federal money. Yes. Yeah. The partial veto has nothing to do with that. We made a concerted effort to find $100 million for our schools, and we succeeded. And this is done. There's no strings attached on this. Oh, absolutely. The Supreme Court made it really much more difficult to partial veto the budget. There's no question about that. Those decisions played a huge role in this. That bill will be vetoed. Yes. Yes. I'm for it. It's just that it's a bad bill. We anticipate the legislature coming back in session to take care of that personal property tax issue. But it is not a clean bill, and it's not doesn't meet the needs of the people of Wisconsin. So I'm hopeful that they'll come back in session and do it right. Well, they didn't deal with whether manufacturing costs out of state is taxable or not. And if we end up in court and we lose that, where does that money come from? It was done in such a rush that we're having problems. We had problems with it. Peter, did you have anything else to say on that?
I can just add that the last time that the legislature enacted changes to the personal property taxes, it was under Governor Walker, and my predecessor, Governor Chandler, had a very difficult time, was sued successfully, and that's why it's important to get it right. We need language to clarify it, to avoid litigation. There's also issues regarding utilities, railroads, and many other issues that municipalities care deeply about because it could affect their budget as well. So
Right.
I'm so glad the governor did the prudent
Yeah.
thing. He kept the money in the budget so that if we can do it right, we can fund it.
Right. We're going to veto the bill. The money's still in the budget. Let's fix it, and we'll move on. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.